Yo, what's up YouTube? Firefist Chris here, and today I'm going to go ahead and do a deck profile on Queen. So this is probably going to be the third deck or second deck I'll be playing for this format. Main one's probably going to definitely be Rebecca. I'll probably do an updated law deck profile, and at the time of this recording, actually, this is right after the regionals in Knoxville, I believe, and where Queen, we actually saw a Queen make top 16. So I'm going to show my deck list here, what I'm running, kind of the playstyle of Queen. And all in all, I'm really looking forward to this format. It's looking promising. Definitely red is, super strong, but there is counters, and it's seeming to become more of like a triangle or even a squares type format where yellow is kind of the gatekeeper. And this is going to be the first combination of blue and yellow. So I'll go straight into the deck profile. Obviously, if you don't know already, this is Queen. Pretty much Don 1 when attacking. If you have a combination of your hand and life total is 4 or less, then you can either draw a card or add a card to your life. So it's very good just because if you already played blue before, you know that you can stack the top of your deck. So it's pretty much essentially you're adding something to your life that you know will be a trigger. And it's kind of like really the whole game plan around this deck. Some of it obviously is luck, luck based. Sometimes you're just going to be putting cards into your life, not really sure, but you run enough cards where there really are a lot of impactful triggers. So we'll just go straight into the deck profile. First, we running 2 Peronas. Perona, obviously, it's a great card. You kind of want to see it going first. It's not very necessary, at least for this deck. It's honestly a lot better when you're grinding games. Being able to, when you already have an established board, not have a lot of Don commitment to be able to drop a 1-drop and still drop like a Katakuri, for an example, put a blocker into your life, and then if you have 4 or less, setting the next, what you're going to draw into and what's going to go into your life. So it's very important, honestly, a lot of the times to actually hold on to this Perona, especially if you already have the Dofi, which we'll get to in a little bit. Next, I'm running 2 of the 1-drop laws. It's just a blocker that you can play. It's easy to follow up with your big units with this. It's not a lot of Don commitment. And for a lot of decks, if you can't, remove it, it's just a free block. For the 2K counters, 4 Kayas, it's kind of self-explanatory. You actually kind of want to summon this depending on what you have, because inherently this will get card out of your hand to make your total less. So it is kind of important sometimes to even play the card itself. Then the 3-drop Dofi. So honestly, when I play this deck, you do kind of want to go first. That's kind of what your curve is. You can play second, but you really kind of want to go first and be able to get to your 9 Don first, so you can get a lot more impactful plays. But for the Doflamingo, honestly, this is probably one of the best cards you want to kind of mulligan for. It sets up your, your big units. It sets up your life, your blockers, and it's its blocker in itself. So, really good card. Then a new card that we have, it's going to be for 4 Pound. So Pound is really good into a lot of problematic cards. Like you can put Betos into life, Kairos into life. This is probably the main 2, I believe, that what you would kind of want to put into life. But in general, it's a yellow blocker. And when it's KO'd, you can add any 3 or less to the life. Then for more blockers, 4 Boa Hancocks. Boa is simply here because it has a trigger where you can play it. So it's obviously very good getting it out of life. And I'm actually running still 4 Brulees. I do see a lot of lists cutting this card down. I find it to get you maximum output for this deck is you kind of want to have as many chances as possible to randomly add a blocker into your life to protect you for game. And honestly, it does help out a lot in a lot of decks. Next card is another 2K counter, 4 Beige. This is another new card. Very important trigger for protecting yourself. Simply get a trigger and stop something from attacking. So it's definitely very good into a lot of decks this format, stopping yourself from being attacked or freezing something you don't really want, getting any type of effects off. Next, I run 1 Boa. The Boa is essentially here because it's a good card. Honestly, early game and even later game, if you're just trying to draw into more pieces, like if you're looking for a Red Rock or a 3000 World to get rid of problematic cards, it kind of just helps you dig into this deck. A lot of times you're countering early on and you have a low hand size to get your ability off and kind of just comboing your bigger units. But with Boa, this kind of helps gets you into those pieces. Then we have 4 Sanjis. Sanji is obviously a great blocker. You get a discard a card, which helps also with keeping your hand size down and getting a blocker that you can also attack aggressively with it. And that's it for the blocker and the smaller units. Now we're going to go ahead with the bigger units, which is I'm running 3 Katakuris. Katakuris, I would say, is one of the more versatile bigger cards that you can run in this deck, just because you can add the Boa or the Brûlée into your life, and it's essentially just giving yourself another life, plus giving yourself another life with the Queen effect. And then it's also a good combination. If you have Tendon, you can play this. You can play the Law to follow up with a blocker, and then you can still use 1 Dawn on the Queen to gain a life or draw a card. So not much to say. Katakuri is obviously expensive for a reason now at this point. It's kind of necessity into a lot of decks, especially, you know, Katakuri, their Katakuri and things of that sort. Another change, I've run 4 Mihawks. Mihawks I find that are really good into kind of a lot into the format. I would say the only thing this is not really good on or just decent against would be blue against, like if you're going against a blue Croc. But this is just really good against if you're going against Dofi, getting the 7-drop Luffy right off the board. So this is Mihawk. I run 4 of him. And then for the last one is 4 Yamato. So Yamato is essentially here. This is kind of your comeback card. And if you have the Katakuri, you have you and your opponent have a larger life total, depending on how the game goes, especially if you also use pound to put stuff into life. This kind of can pop a lot of stuff, and then when you're low on life, you can do a turn where you can gain 2 life in 1 turn. Then next card, we have 2 3000 Worlds. I'm only running 2. I find it's just, you know, you need to see it kind of against depending on what you're going against. But it's not as essential as I would find the better card is the new card Gum Gum Red Rock. Red Rock just gets rid of anything on board, gets rid of anything problematic for the deck, and it kind of just resets the whole board state. You're trying to, the whole game plan with Queen at this point, you're just trying to make it so your opponent only really has 1 or 2 maybe attacks a turn. So that way you're healing more than what essentially damage they can do, so you're not really countering from your hand. If usually I find when you lose with this deck, if they go wide, if you can get rushed down, obviously it has a bad matchup kind of into red, Zoro, Law, even Whitebeard if you're running a Strawbeard variant. So all in all, this was the Queen deck profile. If you guys want to know more about like doing a guides or even more in depth into specific matchups, I'd love to do more type of videos like that, more in depth. And any suggestions for the channel would be, you know, greatly appreciated. I'll probably do a LOL deck profile, or if you guys have suggestions for what deck you would like to see. I personally like doing the in-person, like IRL, you know, deck profiles as opposed to just looking at them on the sim. But this is my deck profile on Queen. I have coming up, I'm still waiting on my boxes, but I will be doing the giveaway once I receive my boxes for OP-04. And we'll go ahead and do a giveaway on this channel. And like always, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Fire Fist Chris signing out. Peace.